Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Dev with Excel. All right, in this video we are going to be solving exercise 2.14. That's the step 9 of the phone book. So it says make it possible for users to delete entries from the phone book. The deletion can be done through a dedicated button, something like this, for each person in the phone book list. You can confirm the action from the user by the window.confirm method. So here we are expected to implement the code in such a way that from the browser, from the front end, a user can just click on the delete button and then delete the entry he or she has input, right? So in the previous video, we were able to solve exercise 2.13, and here we extracted the code that handles communication with the backend into its module, right? So going into the code implementation, this is what we did in the previous video. We created this file. I'm trying to search through the file. Okay, so here is the file we created in the previous video, right? So we were able to separate the code, right, that handles the communication with the backend, which is this. All right, so heading into today's video, that's exercise 2.14. I'm going to close everything here, and then let's cd into the code setup, right? Okay, so I'll simply just copy this part here and do cd. Let me at first split this terminal. All right, so yeah, I'll cd into this and then I'll run the front end. Okay, so let's come to the browser to see what we have for the front end. That's local hosts. Okay, all right, so let's refresh this. All right, so this is what we have for the front end for now. Here we don't have any data displayed there because we need to run the server. So here, let's cd into this file path and then let's run the server here. So let's just hold on for it. All right, so this is the endpoints to the server. So let's see what we have. Let's come here to paste it. So this is what we have for the server right now, right? So these were the files that we imputed from the front end. All right. Okay, so since we are currently running both the front end and the server, um, let's open each of those files. So I'm going to go to the components, load names.jsx, name.js, app.jsx, and main.jsx. Also, we need to load the db.json, right? So I'll minimize this part and also do the same here so that we can have a wider screen. All right, I think I'll just drag this a little bit like this. And then let's see, let's do this. Let's take this one here too. Also, we can choose to drag this part down this way. Okay, all right. So what we need to do first is go back to the instruction. Um, all right, so we are trying to make a delete button, right, that can delete the inputs from the users. Okay, so what we need to do first is we need to go to the we need to come to the name.jx, right? So let's write the code that handles the communication to the server, right? So the first we need to do is we need to understand that here we are working with delete, right? So we can just come here and then we duplicate what we have here and then change create to remove, because we can't use delete. The delete is a keyword here, so it's not going to accept it. And then we say axios dot delete, and then here, okay, so here we are going to pass in the ID of the user we want to delete, right? So let's use a template string to get that done. Using a template string, we say base URL, which is what we have here as a variable. So you can just copy this and then paste it here. Before then, sorry, let's at first use the dollar sign. Then inside of it, we put in the base URL. Then we put a slash, the ID. That's the ID of the user which we want to delete, right? So because we are passing this here as an argument, we need to pass it here as a parameter. So we say ID. Okay, so the rest should be the same. So here we need to export this. Simply come here and then paste this here. All right, now we need to use this in the app.jsx, right? So we come to app.jsx and going to the part where we can delete. Okay, so inside the app component, which is the root component, we can write our code anywhere actually, but not inside any functions, right? So we are going to be creating a new function right below the add name. So here we simply just say, let's call the function delete delete name, right? Let's call it delete name. Okay, so here delete name, what we need to do next is, so we can just take some idea from how we created the create here to work on the delete. So here what we need to do is, coming up here, we can see that we be able to import this code, this entire code here, and we named it name, right? We could actually have named it name service, but let's leave it as name. We can change that in future videos, right? So let's leave it as name. So we want to target the remove. So we say name dot remove, and this remove here, it accepts a parameter ID. We need to put all of that into consideration. So we say name dot remove. So we come down here and say name dot remove. Then we give it an ID parameter. Then we say dot then. And then here, what we need to do is need to pass in a function. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to try to write the logic that is going to help us to return every other data that does not match with the data that contains the ID of the user, right? So that's the idea. So what we can do here is we can simply just say set persons. So we are going to be working with the set person and the set filtered person, right? So let's begin with the set persons first. And here we can say persons dot filter. So here we are using the filter method. Oh, all these things are just blocking my view. All right, so filter dot persons dot filter, then filter accepts a parameter. Let's call it person singular, and then this is going to return person dot ID that does not match the ID of the user. Right now, this is the ID, right, of the user that's coming from the front end. Now we want to check that the ID of the person in the database, if it conforms or if it matches the ID of the user. If it does not, we are going to return every data that does not match with this ID, right? And then excluding the one that matches. So what that means is that we are simply returning every other data without the one that matches, and that's how we perform this delete, right? So that's how the delete actually works. So if we come here and then we do something like this is going to return the data of the person that matches with this ID, right? That's the idea. But now I want to return the data of every other person that their ID don't match the ID that is being put in. All right, so let's leave this as this. So this is what we want to do. Now this is giving us a warning because this is an argument. We need to place it here as a parameter. So that settles it. So we do the same thing for the set filtered person. So we just copy this and then we paste it here. Also, we need to change these persons to filter persons. So let's say filter person. All right. So after doing this, let's save. So after doing this, we need to handle the error. So we use the catch. We say catch error. So this is supposed to, so we can just say console log error deleting person. We can also try to use the alert as well. So we could just come here and say alert error deleting person. Okay, there's something wrong with the error we are having here. Okay, it's never read. So here we could just do something like this and then put a comma and say error dot message. Right, so that works out fine. All right, so the next thing we want to do is, as it stands, the application is not fully working right now, because here coming to the front end, we can see, let's refresh this. Clicking on the F5, you can see that we don't have any delete button here yet. So what we can do next is we need to go to the front end to help us to implement such code. All right, so we need to come here. I think we need to come to this part here. Yes. All right, so beside the name and the number, which is this here, we need to add the button here. So we could just come here and say button and then call it delete. So let's save this. So here we can see that we have delete button, and we can put a space. Let's just do something like this. We can actually do something like, let me see if this is going to work. Okay, that doesn't work. So we can do something like this. Okay, so all right, so this works, right? So the next thing we need to do is we need to use the onClick attribute to accept the handler, because we want to work with the event handler. So we can just say onClick equals something. Now here we need to come here and then give a props to this component. Let's give the props the same name we gave the function. So coming down to the function, we named it delete name. So we could just copy this and then come to the, where are we? Here, and then we write this name as a props. Right. So here on click is going to accept a function, and we do something like this. And then we say delete name and then person.id. Now we are trying to call the ID of the person, right? That is already in the database, right? So it is from here we are going to confirm if this ID is the same as the ID of these people here, of, let's take for instance red wine. If the ID of this red wine, if it matches with this ID and we hit the delete key, it deletes, right? But if it does not, it does not work. So let's save this. Saved. At this point, if you click on the delete key, nothing happens. So the next thing we want to do is we go back to the app.jsx, because there are a lot of things. We no longer need this names.js. I think we can just close this part so we don't get ourselves confused. Let's close this. Let's close main.jsx. Okay, so we are left with these three files. All right, coming back to the app.jsx, what we need to do is we need to come to this point here, this person's component, which is defined at the top here. We have it here. So we can see that this accepts a props here, which is filtered person, right? So we need to come down here to add a delete note, delete person's props, and the value is going to be this function we created here, right? So what I mean is this: we are going to come here, we copy delete name function, and since delete name here is the same name given to this props here, right? We could easily just say delete name, which is a props, is equal to the value, and the value is this function. So we add delete name as a function here. So let's save this. Let's see if we can delete at this point. Let's delete something. Okay, nothing is working for now. Let's see what the issue is. Let's go into the developers tool. Okay, let's close all of this. Let's refresh this, and then let's delete. So it says delete is not a function. Okay, so um what we can do is let's go to the person's component. As we can see here, we are using delete props here passed into the person's component, but we don't have a delete names in this part as a props. So we simply just add it here. And after adding that, since we've added it here, we need to use it here. That means what we can do here is we are simply going to do the same thing we did here. So we simply just come here and then copy this, and then come up here, paste it here. So that should solve it. All right, so this is our code implementation is gradually coming to a success. Let's see what we need to add again. Okay, so let's click on the db.json and then try to delete one of these data through the front end. Let's refresh the front end, and then let's click on delete. Let's delete red wine to see if this red wine gets deleted. Okay, red wine gets deleted. Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. Okay, all right, so let's come to names or gsx. All right, let's go to the instruction again to see further code implementation. So it says we should delete entries from the backend, right? And also we should use the window.confirm method. Okay, all right, so the next thing we want to do is coming back to app.jsx. Inside the delete name function, we want to use the window.confirm, right? So that means that whenever we click, whenever we try to delete one of these entries here, there's going to be a pop-up, right? Like a prompt from the Windows, right? Asking us if we really want to delete that input. So that's what we want to do now. So we say window.confirm. Then inside the confirm here, we can just use backticks, and then we say inside these backticks, we say delete, then using the dollar sign and the curly brace, we say delete name. So here, this name we want to delete here, this name is an argument, right? And we need to pass it as a parameter here. So we copy this name here and we paste it here. And for doing this here, we also need to come to names or GSS and do the same here, right? So we simply just come here and do something like this: person.id, comma, person.name. Else, if we don't do this, we are going to be having issues in our code. So next we want to do is let's assign this windows.confirm to a variable name. Let's call it const confirm delete, something like this. So let's save. Then we are going to be using a condition. We are going to say if this is not true, if confirm delete is not true, we return. So let's save this. All right. Now let's go back to our front end through the browser. Let's be sure if our code implementation is okay. So coming to this part, let's refresh this. Let's click on the db.json file to observe if any of this data gets deleted when we click on it. So let's try to delete blue jean. Let me expand this a little bit more. So let's try to delete blue jean. Let's click on it. So it asks delete blue jean, then we say okay. So let's observe this part very well. If this blue jean leaves the db.json. Okay, so it appears that blue jean does not leave. Let's click on it again. Something must have happened. Okay, so something broke, I think. So let's go back to our code. Going to the name.jsx, we have person.id, person.name. Now delete name here, it's accepting two parameters. Let's go to app.jsx to see how many parameters delete name is accepting. It's accepting ID and name. Okay, so where is the issue coming from? So let's refresh this again. Maybe there's something wrong somewhere. Let's try to delete green blue 567. Okay, let me just bring this out this way. All right, so let's delete green blue 567. Okay, this does not leave as well. um okay, let's come to names.jsx. Let's remove person.name from here. Let's save this. Coming back to delete notes function, delete name function rather. There's something not right. Let's comment on this and then let's remove name. Now let's try to delete green blue jean, green blue 567 rather. Now it gets deleted. But the moment we introduce this code logic, the one that has the window.confirm, it does not work. Why is that? Let's add it back. um Let me see if I can remove this exclamation mark. So let's try to run it without us trying to negate this confirm delete, right? So I'll simply save this and let's check this name.jsx. This might not work because we need to add person.name. All right, let's just try it and see. Let's go to db.json. Let's try to delete blue g987. Delete undefined. Okay, so we need to add person.id, person.name rather. So we say person.name. Mm, let's save this. Is there anything wrong in our code implementation? Let's be sure. Okay, so having done that, let's refresh this again. Clicking on the db.json, let's delete blue jean 987. Delete blue jean 987. Still not going. Okay, um delete name. So technically, we can actually see that the issue is from this code logic, right? Let's introduce the exclamation mark again. Something is wrong somewhere. Window.confirm, delete name. Let's save this. Let's try this again. Okay, set person, set delete name equals delete name. Delete name equals delete name. Person dot name, person dot number, person dot ID. Okay, so let us try and see if we can add someone into this db.json and then delete it. Let's add okay, so let's say we have ABC as a person's name, then 123 as a person's number. Let's add, so we have this person added to the db.json. Let's see if we can delete this person, delete ABC. Oh, not working. Okay, so at this point I think I might have to stop here and then create another video explaining how to fix this code, right? So with this, I'll simply say thanks for joining on this video. Thanks for watching, and if you find this video interesting, do give it a like, do subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next video. Bye.